Hello and welcome to Comicstorian Weekly, the weekly show that we talk about comic books that we have not done in multiple weeks, but we are finally back.
So we're going to catch up on everything, right? 4 weeks of comics.
Yes, because I definitely didn't skip like at least a week or two by accident.
Only 1 week or two?
Actually, I did try to keep up for the sake of the comics are still going, and I'm gonna have to jump back in.
Like
eventually.
what the hell? I made that mistake, and then I think I read last week like Wonder Woman, and I was like, I don't know what's going on right now.
Right. All right. So that is Annie. I am Dan. If you forgot, I mean, hopefully you didn't, but hey, it has been a while. Let's go ahead and jump on in.
Hopefully we don't fall down.
First up, we've got in DC. Batman Fierce State Alpha #1. So in this comic, we finally start moving into the Fierce State, which essentially what we saw in Future State, but this is the start of it not being in the future. Now it's just present.
In the present.
Now it's present state. But that just didn't like roll off the tongue.
Yeah,
so they went with Fierce State.
Yeah.
This one basically goes into and explains everything behind Scarecrow, how he's involved, how he manipulated Simon Saint, kind of everything that's going on to screw up the entire city. And it's very good issue. If you are curious about like what Scarecrow's doing, how everything happened, where it's going to go in the current continuity, since Future State was in theory a possible future. We don't know if that's going to be where they're going. I actually really enjoyed it. If you like Batman, if you like Scarecrow, honestly, if you like Scarecrow as a character, you could read this and just enjoy it for what it gives you about Scarecrow. I really enjoyed it. I suggest picking it up if you enjoy Batman, if you enjoy Scarecrow, and you actually are interested in comics in general. But if you are interested in kind of the whole Fierce State kind of idea
thing.
Next up, we've got Batman Superman 2021 Annual #1. We bought it. I actually did not read this one. I started to, but I believe it was the art style and the fact that it was still going on the like the Altair.io. It was still going into that, which we had concluded. So right. I'm kind of like,
because it's
I don't care. So exactly. Like it didn't have the art to grab me, and the small bit that I did read didn't grab me. So if you do like the Batman Superman and you enjoyed that style, check it out. The Harley Quinn 2021 Annual #1 came out as well. We did not buy it, so I assumed neither of us have read it.
No.
Infinite Frontier #5 came out. Did you read this?
I did read this one. So,
all right.
Because I've been enjoying this series so far.
Yeah, this one was pretty good.
This one, and it kind of explained everything finally.
Yeah.
Like what was going on. So the are they all technically part of the Infinite Justice League or whatever the hell they're calling
Justice Incarnate?
Justice Incarnate? No, because I think the Justice Society just showed up.
The Justice Incarnate is part of it. The Justice Society is there because
Jade was taken. And Alan Scott brought them with it. Yeah.
Yep. And then
so they all show up at the Omega planet, right? It's
Earth
Omega.
Yep.
Thank you. Where Psycho Pirate shows up in monologues and reveals everything about how, there's always an Earth that dies during any of these crises. It's always Earth Zero's fault, which it kind of is. He's not wrong. And how they're going to, like, the overall goal seems to be, like, they're going to bring back entropy to, the universe so that Earth Zero... The plan itself doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. It's something along the lines of they're starting a crisis so they can bring entropy back to the universe so that other worlds don't die, but then entropy would kill everything. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But they fight, and then Darkseid shows up, and you also learn what's going on with Roy and his Black Lantern ring.
I actually really liked
that was a pretty cool idea, yeah. Overall, very good issue. I don't want to spoil too much about what happens with the Black Lantern ring and things like that. Overall, very good issue. I'm enjoying this series. It's always fun to see President Superman and Thomas Wayne Batman doing stuff.
Yeah.
Except when he's written by Tom King. But that's beside the point. Overall, I'd say this was a very good issue, though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
In terms of understanding,
the plan didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, in my opinion.
As a story, it's great.
Yeah, it was fun.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So that's Infinite Frontier number 5. Next up on our list, not many came out, so I do have to scroll through.
It was a very strange week. There was like not a lot altogether.
Yeah.
There was a lot of graphic novels this week.
There were a lot of graphic novels. Okay, so moving on, we've got Teen Titans Academy number 6. This was the issue that I finally realized this is DC's version of Strange Academy. Because you have kids going through
Academy in the name.
Exactly. Man. But like even in terms of like how they are acting and doing the adventures, just felt very much like, did they just take the story and swap out the characters? Just like change it a little bit? Like
what they do is they wait till Strange Academy comes out and then they write the script for the next issue.
There you go.
Academy.
But so in this one, we go a little more into Gorilla Greg, who is the nephew of Gorilla Grodd. Yep, I know, right?
Still a great name.
And so this was just kind of like a little vacation that the kids are going on. Some stuff happens. This is the start of an arc. It's going in an interesting direction. I am curious as to where it's going to go. But it has moved away from like the Red X plot, which I actually really enjoyed. So I'm kind of sad it's not there.
Did they reveal who Red X was? Because I don't read Teen Titans Academy to begin with, so...
They kind of did, but they didn't.
Gotcha. Okay.
They did like an origin of him, but they never like named him or anything like that. You just saw him
so
as
it wasn't
a kid.
Already an established character.
Exactly. It was a kid that got found by a Red X and was trained to be the next Red X, is the way that I believe it was. Anyway, that's beside the point. This one, I mean, it's the start of a new arc, but if you're looking for something more serious, something that's got the Titans in it, so far, that's not the case with this one. So, next up, I actually missed this one. Static number 3, season 1. I am enjoying the Static comic right now. I really like it. The art's great. The story is good. It keeps it interesting. It gives you enough information that you understand what's going on. You don't need to have read like the Milestone Comics issue that was basically like
the setup for everything.
Yeah, you don't need to have read that. They explain most of the things in this, and we finally.
This is issue 1.
This is 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah. But
I'm really off.
they're numbering it issue 3, season 1.
I see. Okay, that's what's throwing me off. Okay.
Yeah, and then in this one, he finally gets his suit, or at least gets the first iteration of his suit, and it's pretty fun. I really enjoyed it. There's a nice moment between him and his dad. Overall, the Static series has impressed me so much that if you have any interest in the character, if you watch the old show,
I was gonna say I gotta start checking it out because I really like the old show. I really like that. So
I have really been enjoying it. And then last up in our DC portion for today, we've got Wonder Girl number 3.
Yara Flor.
Yes. What did you think of this one?
Hashtag my Wonder Girl. I'm really liking this series. Although this particular issue was I felt it was a little strange narratively because it was like some stuff was going on that didn't seem like it was in the real world and they weren't really explaining it. And then like the Brazilian gods were like, you should stay here. But then another guy, it was kind of a little all over the place in this particular issue. I don't think that's a common problem the series has had. Art is still really great. The sides between like Artemis and I guess
Cassie.
I was gonna say they technically call her Wonder Girl, don't they? Yeah. Okay, that's what's throwing me.
I mean, they've never named her as Wonder Girl.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why it's called Wonder. Anyway,
the sides Wonder Woman was taken by 3 other.
That is true. The sides with Artemis and Wonder Girl were really fun because one is like an Egyptian Amazon and the other one's like a teenager from like San Francisco or wherever the hell she's from. Overall, I'm really enjoying this series. I just think this particular issue had some sort of kind of weird and wonky narratively wise.
Yeah, but this was the lower of the 3.
Yeah, but overall, I'm very much enjoying this series. I really like this new Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl character. Hashtag my Wonder Girl.
This Wonder Person?
Wonder Person. There you go. Very much enjoying it. And
Yeah.
I think the art is fantastic on this.
Oh,
and
the
it was in
art
Future
is-
State as well, because it's the same artist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Definitely recommend picking it up. Well, obviously, if you enjoyed the first two. If you
Yeah,
didn't
if you
enjoy
did,
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
two, don't.
Yeah, if you did not enjoy the first two, or you didn't enjoy the first one and then didn't read the second one, don't jump in at 3. You'll be wildly confused.
All right. So,
I've read them all, and I was still slightly confused.
I mean, there were some comics that, honestly, I have skipped some because of the few weeks that we were off. And I was like,
oh, no. I don't know what's going on anymore.
all right. So moving on to the Marvel portion. Starting off, we've got
Marvel.
Starting off, we've got Avengers number 48. So this is part 3 in the World War She-Hulk. Let me just verify that this is...
Overall, not enjoying this arc as a whole.
It's weird.
I'm a big Jason Aaron fan.
Me too.
And I think his Avengers run started off really good. And honestly, in my opinion, the stories have kind of dropped.
When it went to Avengers Unlimited,
it's been kind of losing me. I haven't really enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed his previous work.
I feel like a big problem is a lot of the characters they're using in this arc are not characters that have been like developed enough for us to create a connection to.
I could see that. Yeah.
Because like the whole Gorilla Man thing, I know that he got his powers because he killed the other Gorilla Man and took it from him.
That's how it works. It's like a Highlander kind of thing.
like I only knew it last time, but then they retell the whole thing in this one. So it's like, it's almost like they're trying to make you really, really be invested in a character that you have not ever really seen.
Right. Yeah. I can see that.
But as a whole,
I mean, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't
It's not like it was a terrible comic. It's just
I do find it
the
weird
Avengers
that,
run as a whole is just kind of losing me. I don't find it as interesting as the first couple of arcs. Oops, I hit the mic. Sorry. As the first couple of arcs, I talk with my hands too much is the problem.
Yeah.
And
that's why it's not on the table.
I
anymore.
know. But I can still find a way to hit it. And as Jason Aaron's previous work on like Thor, Mighty Thor, and all that other stuff. It's just me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some people out there still enjoying it.
They also decided that not only do they have to flip her skin color, but also her hair color.
Yeah, I thought that was
They decided to just make her long,
Blonde?
flowing blonde hair as a red She-Hulk.
Well, if you become Red She-Hulk, everyone knows you have to have blonde hair. Now, ignore the previous Red She-Hulk, which didn't have blonde hair.
There's also one scene in this that definitely... I feel like the artist did not fully understand what was going on because they're in the water...
Okay.
And you see She-Hulk, and she looks like she's part cyborg or something.
Yeah. That's how water reacts to a Red Hulk.
Right. Like that was the... But then in the next one, they're underwater.
You just don't know anything about Red Hulks. That's the problem.
And apparently she's got a tail. Anyway, I feel like I missed something. I probably did. Knowing me, I missed part 2, and that's like, this is why she's got a tail. Oh, no, it's her foot just bent.
That's why I'm like, where do you see a tail?
Anyway... If you've been enjoying it, check it out. If you haven't been enjoying this one, maybe wait till it's concluded. Maybe it'll be better. Like I said, I feel like I did miss part 2, so I am at fault there. That there's probably some things that I don't understand because of that.
Like the difference between feet and tails.
The difference between feet and tails. Maybe the Russians use blonde hair to mind control.
Everybody
I don't know.
knows that, Dan.
But in this one, we kind of go into what their plans are with the Red She-Hulk. They go to Atlantis, kind of mess up things there. A lot going on.
It. I like it.
It's not horrible.
Damn water
but
brothers.
it definitely isn't my favorite arc that he's done in this Avengers run. To be fair, I've been iffy on the Avengers run, but there have been some really solid ones. And unfortunately, so far, this is not one of those for me personally. Moving on, we've got Captain Marvel, number 32. So if you remember back, I don't know how many arcs ago, but we had the story of Carol had been controlled or manipulated by the Vox Supreme and had that really cool like red star with black suit, was beating up all the Avengers. In this one, another person shows up in that suit. So she's trying to figure out who that is while fighting them. And the overall plot for this next arc is it seems like the Vox Supreme is gathering all the Captain Marvels, Miss Marvels, Marvel, like anyone that has had that title. It appears that he is gathering them. We don't know why. We honestly don't even know if it is him. They do obviously imply that it is, but they don't specifically say or show that it is. So maybe it'll have a big twist there.
They should have a crazy crossover and Shazam shows up. And they're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I had the name for a little while.
You should just show it to a little kid and go, I thought you were bigger than this. Oh, well. Flies off. But yeah, it was pretty good. So moving on, one that I really enjoyed this week. Many of you will enjoy it. Dark Ages #1.
I almost didn't read it because I just thought it was another Marvel event. And then I discovered
so good.
It was a Tom Taylor one, or like self-contained event.
Yeah,
which I always enjoy reading. Yes, so good. I
really liked how they did it. They
good
kind
setup. I thought it was a good setup.
Yeah. Do similar to the first host, the first Avengers arc, where the Celestial was buried in the Earth. But in this one, it's essentially the Anti-Monitor was buried in Earth. Yeah. Long ago, he's wakening up. They have to figure out how to stop him. The world goes dark. We've got the Dark Ages.
To stop him.
I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, to stop him, they basically have to EMP the world.
Yes.
And it doesn't shut everything down for a short amount of time. It shuts everything down for as long as we know. Because then it jumps ahead.
Yeah.
Into the Dark Ages.
Which
were called that because there's no electricity. Everybody knows that's why the original Dark Ages were like that as well.
I mean, whenever my lights go out, I go, oh God, it's the Dark Age.
It's a second Dark Age. I've had 4 Dark Ages this week. I don't know what's up with my power.
I don't know what's going on.
Crazy.
But I really enjoyed this one.
I thought it was solid.
I'm really excited to see where Tom Taylor goes with it. Yeah. Honestly,
the setup
if
sounds
you're
really
cool. If you're
buy
going to buy one comic this week,
this would be the one.
This would be the one.
The setup is really cool. The allusions to what is coming is really cool.
Yep.
Seeing how it, because you don't realize how many superheroes require electricity.
Oh, yeah. Much more than just Iron Man.
I didn't realize Spider-Man's web shooters were based off electricity. To me, that wouldn't have been a normal one because he doesn't talk about replacing the batteries.
They're actually
aerosol. I don't know what I thought they were.
Right.
But he doesn't ever talk about like, well, I got to replace the web shooter fluid and then also the AA batteries.
I mean, I guess it makes sense because sometimes he can't electrocute the webs.
That is true.
Or in some stories he has.
Yeah, it's a good point. But I never really thought about it like that. Yeah. But overall, really cool. I don't want to spoil a lot because there's a lot of fun implications for not having electricity for certain superheroes. So
it looks really cool. Looks like it's going to be fun. We're also going to be getting some cool versions of other characters, such as the Miles Morales Venom, who looks like Spawn.
Who also, as I understand it, is one of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
I believe
that's what it looked like. Yeah,
but I mean, we don't want to spoil anything too much. True. So, all right,
I'll tell you everything that happens in the comic. All right, panel 1. I'm just kidding.
Next up, we've got Hellions #15. This one kind of just goes into the whole explaining what Mr. Sinister did.
Okay.
Did you read this one?
I did not. No, I haven't really been reading Hellions. I read it during the, what do you call that? The event with the swords. Thanks for swords. There we go. I got it. I read it during that, but I haven't been reading it as a whole.
So yeah, this one is going into the Hellions find out what Mr. Sinister was doing to them during the whole arcade and mastermind situation. They find out the whole Psylocke's daughter is in jeopardy. That whole thing is still a whole thing in itself. But then we also see kind of what the Mr. Sinister of Amenth does. That's why I had the
I just like Mr. Sinister.
It's basically their version of Mr. Sinister.
Right, yeah.
And we learn...
They met him during the X of Swords.
They did.
Yeah.
And he's like basically a god. And it turns out Mr. Sinister is trying to replicate him into a Mr. Sinister body
Oh, that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
Other than the fact that that guy's so much better at it than Mr. Sinister was.
Well, we're ignoring that bit.
Yeah. Like his were really good, and Sinisters aren't always the best. They're always more worried about capes.
I really like, I'm glad you mentioned the case, because every single issue where Mr. Sinister shows up, there's at least one comment about capes, because he makes it in this one too. Because one of them bows down and he goes, "You're not worthy of that cape." But Hellions, if you've been reading it, check it out. Not a great jumping on point, though.
That's fair.
Moving on from Hellions, we've got The Last Annihilation, Wiccan and Hulkling, #1. I believe that this one is a single issue. I don't think it's going to become a series, but who knows? If you've been reading Guardians of the Galaxy, you would know that the planet Ego has turned into Dormammu, and Dormammu has basically the body of Galactus. So there's a Galactus-sized Dormammu in space right now, and this is explaining what Wiccan and Hulkling are doing for that, as well as the origin of both of those characters, how they met in high school and stuff like that. I actually really enjoyed this one. I feel like I won't lie, I was a little worried that they were going to harp too much on the relationship and that kind of stuff.
They really don't. A team drama.
Exactly, but they really don't. It's more of just they're together. This was the point that they really were together. This is them getting married. But here's all the stuff of Wiccan versus Dormammu and the fact that the negabands were turned into wedding rings. So Wiccan and Hulkling can swap places using their wedding rings, which I think is a really
pretty
cool
good
idea. But I actually really enjoyed this one. If you're not interested in the characters, you're not going to be interested in this one. If you haven't been reading Guardians of the Galaxy, you're probably not going to be too interested. That being said, if you do like the characters, but you've still not been reading that story, this is their origin. So you would still enjoy it. But that is The Last Annihilation, Wiccan and Hulkling, #1. Next up, we've got New Mutants, #21. This one, essentially the entire issue is about the fact that Scout, or Honey Badger, or Gabby, was killed in a previous issue. In this one, they look into resurrecting her. They decide that even though she was a clone, she was backed up as an individual on Cerebro, so they said that she was fine to be her own.
Makes sense.
Like, be resurrected. And the reason why I bring that up is previously we had Havoc try and get Madeline resurrected, but they're like, no, that's a clone of Jean.
Yeah. So it's kind of a dick move if you think about it.
They even mention that in this.
Yeah.
But I guess it was something because of the whole everyone before the gala got a backup and stuff like that.
It'd be funny though if Professor X is like, they're not even real people. Wow, way to be a bigot, Professor X.
Yeah, jeez. You're standing pretty much like a human there, Charles.
Didn't realize we were run by humans. Oh, my bad.
I enjoyed it. I'm interested to see where it goes. It appears we're going to be going into an arc of what the Shadow King is doing to everyone on the island.
Oh, okay.
I will say, I will connect this one with, I think it's Way of X. I do find it kind of odd that we have two psychic-based villains doing things at the exact same time.
Then they don't communicate. That's the problem. Well,
they don't communicate.
Work toward common goals.
And more importantly, the other ones don't ever reference each other.
Well,
but they're all psychic-related.
That's just comics in general.
Yeah, but the X-Men stuff
you
lately
would think because they are so interconnected. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And they're on the same island.
Especially considering we had like 8 issues of what was going on behind the scenes in the gala.
Exactly. All right, so moving on from there, we've got Sinister War #4. So this is all the different Sinister Sixes fighting against Peter.
Six eyes?
I don't know, sixes.
Sorry, keep going.
The Sinisters, they're all fighting against Peter Parker. I will say right now, I believe I missed issue #3, but from the way that this is going, all of the issues of Sinister War have been going into the Sinisters fighting against Parker, Doc Ock doing his thing, and kind of going into Mephisto and Doctor Strange, talking about the whole kindred stuff.
What's going on with Peter's soul?
Exactly. And so this one kind of resolves in a way. Like it pseudo resolves, but it is going to be completely resolved in the next Amazing Spider-Man issue, since this has been a back and forth, because they do want to focus on Peter Parker as well as Mephisto, the Sinisters, Doc Ock, and stuff like that. So this is the non-Peter focused, and Amazing Spider-Man is the Peter focused. Overall, this story has been better than I was expecting for just... Oh, look, all the different Sinister Sixes
of Sinister teams.
They even go through some like villains that he's like, I completely forgot I even used to fight these guys.
Who are you people?
I mean, it wasn't bad. I do want to go back and read issue number 3, because I feel like there's a little bit more behind the scenes that I do want to know and find out. But the cool thing is, Mephisto does not expect the actual outcome from what happens here. And he even like makes a comment of, I guess the house doesn't always win. So it was interesting to see a deal with the devil not work out for the devil, because I didn't even know that was possible. So
doesn't seem like it should be.
And you would think not, but hey, it happened. Did you read either of these The High Republic Star Wars comics that came out?
Because we don't generally read those for the show anyway.
So moving on.
I like how most of the books that came out were ones you read.
Yeah, actually,
and I don't.
I think that's the last one that came out. Not too much came out.
It was a very light week.
You guys see? So thank you guys so much for listening and watching to Comicstorian Weekly. If you want to support us, you can use the code COMICS at checkout when you order your G Fuel. You can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, or you can go to our Twitch, twitch.tv/Comicstorian. That's Andy. I'm Dan. We'll catch you all next time.
Bye.